Lauren Hollows for NOI Education Services as part of our ongoing interview series. And today I am here with Marc Miles. Now, as with all of our others, we have had the Google Bard write the introduction. So I'm going to read that now. We're going to see whether or not the Bard got it right. Today, we are talking with Marc Miles, senior trainer. Marc has over 20 years of experience in the education and training sector and is a passionate advocate for lifelong learning, having coached thousands of students throughout Australia and overseas. He's taught at prestigious universities and has worked in Japan for over 6 years in learning and development, where he mastered the Japanese language, managing English schools in Tokyo. He's a strong believer in the power of the technology to transform. I would like everybody to welcome Marc Miles. So, Marc.
What a great intro, Lauren. That sounds pretty accurate to me.
Does it? So
yeah,
you lived in Japan and you taught there?
I certainly lived in Japan for 7 years. I was a teacher starting out there and then got into a role was actually training the other teachers how to teach, and then became a manager of a couple of schools. And yeah, that's where I sort of cut my teeth on teaching and training, so to speak. So yeah, it was an exciting journey and excellent way to start out.
Fantastic. Oh, look at that. See, occasionally you guys are right. It was very complimentary of you as well. So that's always nice to hear.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Marc, you have got you've got a YouTube channel as well that you're putting out like weekly videos at the moment. And I've had a look through, I watch them quite regularly, but your focus is very much on like trainer engagement. And I mean, most recently, you've been really vocal about like kind of helping trainers understand the difference between training in person and like engaging through online. So tell me a little bit about like that, what you're doing at the moment, why the passion for that?
I think it might help if I sort of unravel my story a little bit and give you a little bit of a, I guess, behind the scenes into why Marc is so passionate about TAE and why I care so much. I guess for me, it all really started out with going through my TAA. So many years ago, I went to TAFE and I went and did my TAA. And going through that, I realized that I guess I had a bit of a strong background in teaching. And I went through my TAA and I walked out very disappointed, very despondent. Because I realized that in that TAA course, fundamentally, people were not really learning the skills and the knowledge and the structure to be able to put together training that would really be dynamic and engage their audiences. And they really weren't walking away with the confidence to be able to do that. And they weren't sort of understanding training at the deeper level. It was a tick the box. It was get the assessments done. It was turn up the class, listen to the trainer, and hopefully you'll be able to do a PowerPoint at the end of the whole experience. Right now, it is whatever it was for that time and that period of history. But I walked away going, there's something wrong here. And for me, when I was going through school and high school and all the different schools that we go through, I was kind of a slower learner. So for me, I really struggled in school. And when I went through my TAA, I'm like, there's something wrong here. And I noticed that a lot of people were actually dropping out of the TAA as well. And they just were not being able to keep up. They just were not learning things. And I realized that fundamentally, my belief is there's no such thing as a bad learner. But it's ultimately how effectively can a trainer tap into whatever that particular learner needs. So I guess for me, my passion really stems out of the fact that people need to learn the skills, the knowledge, and the public speaking skills to be able to really engage an audience. And I guess from my background, I've got the ESL, the English as a Second Language box ticked. I've got the teaching side of things. I've got the public speaking side of things because I've done a number of public speaking courses. I actually have taught public speaking in the past as well. So there's a lot of different things I bring to the TAE that most don't. And I guess coming to your question about the passion for online delivery, over the last 2 or 3 years with the pandemic, a lot of RTOs all shifted to online delivery, which is great. But at the end of the day, we still saw a lot of show up and throw up. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, here's my PowerPoint. Let's go click, 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 and we'll call it training. All right. And you can possibly think of some scenarios around that. But for me, I got very passionate. I thought, again, we've got another moment where the learner, are they really being put front of mind, and are we really thinking about their learning experience? And even to this day, I have conversations with trainers, very experienced TAE trainers, that are still scared to turn on the camera, that are still scared to use breakout rooms, that are still scared to actually own the experience and make it really powerful for the audiences they have. And for me, I'm just, I don't think that's good enough. And I think that really great trainers need to be very powerful in the face-to-face space and have the teaching skills to be able to run activities, do wonderful things in a training room, but also be able to have the skills, knowledge, and the functions to be able to create that in the online environment as well. And if in this day and age, you've got to be great at both. You just have to, is my personal belief, and I'm a little bit biased around that. But Lauren, hopefully that answers your question there.
No, I do agree. And I think that, I mean, obviously during the COVID era, everyone was kind of forced into, online training. There was a lot of people who were thrown into it that just weren't ready, didn't have the skill set, didn't have the technology, didn't have the tools, and hadn't done the preparation to make it work. But, in today's economy, I guess the economy for learner engagement, and the expectations of learners as well, it is a must. Like if you're not, if you're going to, if you're going to be a trainer, the likelihood is that you're going to have some component that is going to end up being done online, and understanding developing online. If there's different tools, there's different techniques, there's different strategies that we have to use to engage a learner, especially when we're dealing with like super large audiences that are going to see it over different points in time. Like we both put out on YouTube, people are going to be, seeing that and engaging with that content at all different periods. The way that we have to phrase it, the way that we have to make it digestible is different, Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess like what, having, taught the TAE, taught lots of trainers and things like that, what is something that trainers, we're going to go from both angles, like what's the one thing that drives you absolutely balmy about, like, when you see training done poorly online? And then what's the thing where you think that vet trainers have like a real leg up and are really beginning to grasp better than kind of maybe they do in other industries or at other levels?
Okay. I'll start with the positive first. So I believe that vet trainers, by their sheer nature, have a huge heart for the industry they work in. They have a huge heart for students understanding whatever they're trying to teach and train. I think they have a huge willingness and desire to make a difference in their industry that creates a legacy. And a lot of people come in becoming trainers because they get either they want to get off the tools, or they want to change or fix something in their industry, which is really great. Kudos to all the people that have a big heart. Fantastic. I guess the biggest thing that I would say frustrates me or gripes me the most would be the sad fact about blaming the learners for not being engaged. Now, what I mean by that is we see a lot of trainers that get frustrated because their learners don't get part of the session. They don't participate. They don't get involved in the session that they're running. And whether it's online or face-to-face, it doesn't really matter. And I guess for me, the biggest part around that is the trainer themselves taking ownership around it. And I talk about extreme ownership. And if you're not taking ownership around the results that you're getting, well, maybe you're missing the point. And I presented on this back in 2019 at the VEL conference. I did a presentation called From Average to Great, the steps to becoming a powerful trainer in the 21st century. And basically, I talked about ultimately, you need to have your strategies for engagement sorted. You need to have the variety in the mix, and you need to have strategies to help your learners take ownership around their learning experience as well. But for me, fundamentally, it's the variety that makes all the difference. So yes, you can use PowerPoint if you want, but then what else are you using? And what else are you using? And what else are you using? Are you using the whiteboard? Are you using breakout rooms? What else are you using? What else? And the secret sauce is basically, if you want to get people engaged, you just got to have the variety there and be constantly changing it up so that the learners are never being able to predict what's going to happen next. Because the more you can create the variety, the more people are going to strap in for the ride, get excited and go, wow, this is different. This is like something I've never experienced before. And the trainer is really owning and creating the experience. Amateurs, I would say, just show up and throw up. They show up, here's my PowerPoint, done, and they go, yep, I've done my training. It's like, well, not really. My belief is that it's not what I say that matters, it's what people remember. It's not what I say that matters, it's what people remember. And if people start to think in that way, then the way that they show up and deliver radically changes, because they start to assess their own performance, not on how much they said, but how much the other person actually remembered from what was actually delivered. And so I guess I really encourage all trainers to have that mindset shift. It's like not how much you got through, but did what you say actually get through.
And I think that's important as well. I think because there is often, and I don't, it's not necessarily even just, blaming the learners, it's blaming the learners, blaming the learning materials. There's always things to blame, but it's that understanding of what's the barrier for the learner to engage? Like, was it, is it that their employer is actually forcing them to be there? They've got no interest in the content. Is it that they are super nervous about speaking in front of other people? Is it that they, that they really just, they've come from an environment where anytime they walk into a classroom, it's a place that's got like a lot of negative connotations for them. And so all of those thoughts start coming back into their head of like, I'm dumb in a classroom. I can't do stuff in a classroom. Like there are so many different factors that might be impacting that student's ability to kind of go, why would I, like, one, engage in the content, but two, actively participate in the class? Because you can have students that are engaging, but they're not actively participating in the class because of other reasons as well.
So true. And I think that really comes back to the empathy. What's it like to be a student? And one of the things I talk about is that more that you know your content, often the harder it is to actually relate back to the person that's learning it for the very first time. And we're all guilty of that, but it's the curse of mastery. And I think creating safe learning environments, if I can give you just one very small example, when I'm delivering online, one of my ground rules is that we excuse people's spelling. I don't care how you spell a word. I may spell it differently to you, but that's okay. And we're just going to create an environment where we're going to be a little relaxed on spelling, because nobody wants to be in a learning environment where they're constantly critiqued about their spelling. It's just not fun at all. So, I just throw that ground rule out there, just in the idea of let's all just relax, be comfortable and go, I may spell something wrong, but that's okay. Take a deep breath and we'll just move on. And then, I'll set up another ground rule, say, show grace to others. By that, I mean, technology will screw up. I might screw up. You might screw up, but that's okay. And so, just really tapping into that, I guess, that environment of, yes, we're all here to learn. We're all going to make mistakes, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've been doing this interview series, and I had someone turn around and go, so you're going to like edit out all of the ums. I'm like, no, I don't edit anything. Like, none of my videos come out. And I'm like, people are really good. People give you a lot of grace, and it just comes across as a lot more natural with the ums and ahs, because when we talk to people, we have the ums and ahs. So let's just accept everything for as it is. So yeah, absolutely. 100%. I like that. And I mean, yeah, you're right. With spelling, we can worry about that at the summative assessment stage. When we're talking about formative, when we're talking about engagement, it's not the be all and end all by any means.
100%.
So I guess when we're talking about training online, what are some of the key things? How is training online different than training in person? So, if you're working, if we've got trainers watching this that are going to start to do some online Zoom sessions with their students, who are going to start to run some small classes online, how does their approach need to be different when they're dealing with an online medium rather than if they were dealing with an in-person medium?
Okay. So with online, I guess there's two biggest things that will always make online unique. First thing is you cannot see behind the screen. You cannot see what they are actually doing. And as a result of that, it's harder to have optics on the classroom. What I mean by that, in the face-to-face environment, you can see what people are doing. You can walk around and you've got visual on how people are tracking. But in the online environment, you can't see behind your screen or their screen going, all right, how are they traveling? The other thing is, number two, as we all know, it's a lot harder to do the practical stuff. It's a lot harder to, get out the tools, you get out the tools and we do the thing. It's just harder. Certainly it can be done, but it's harder. So I guess in regards to online, the biggest thing that I would really say is get used to using the chat box and get used to creating variety. So just because you've got everyone on mute, it doesn't mean that you can't get them responding. So the number one thing with online, though, is you've got to tell them how you want them to respond. So if you say, how are we feeling today? Put your hand up if you're feeling good. That's one way. Type in the chat box if you're feeling good. Type good in the chat box or type a yes in the chat box, right? Get people to respond, but you've actually got to tell them how you want them to respond. Put your hand up or type in the chat box or, give me a thumb up or whatever you want to do. So it's an extra thing that a presenter, facilitator has got to add into their repertoire. If you're delivering, you've got to tell people how you want them to respond. If you don't, people just go, well, what am I meant to say? How am I meant to respond, right? You get the awkward moments. So ultimately, with delivering online, have lots and lots of questions, have the variety of the whiteboard, the breakout rooms, play the videos. It's the variety that makes all the difference. And even if you're showing PowerPoints, it's totally fine to have blanks on your slides. So people are guessing what's going to come next. People are guessing the words, right? And that's the fundamental difference. I kind of go, well, the worst version is here's my holiday snaps from my last cruise that I went to, went on my Christmas vacation versus that's boring, dull, here's the info versus let's create the experience together. So here's the PowerPoints, here's the blanks on the slides. And as we go through and as I train you, we're going to build the content together. And in the whiteboard, I'm going to get you guys to brainstorm, drop your answers in the chat box, and I'm going to draw it on the whiteboard and all these different things that you can actually do with a group, regardless of the size. And it just makes it so much more engaging and powerful. The only other thing I will say, small tip for anyone delivering online, it is so easy for a student to fall out. It is so easy for a student to give up and go, it's all too hard. So the kind of philosophy I have when I'm delivering online is no one gets left behind. No one gets left behind. And what I mean by that is if we are doing an activity, I will make sure that everybody is up to the same place before I move on.
Yeah.
That seems like such a simple thing, but you see so many times when digital literacy or they've got IT issues or something's going on. And if all students are aware that we're all a team here, we're all learning together, then they all feel safe and they know that actually the entire team's success also depends on them as well. So they are going to travel through, they're going to have a great experience, they're going to feel safe, and giving them lots of acknowledgement throughout the process. You guys are doing great, we're really achieving a lot here, no matter where you're up to, we're doing great, and just really giving a lot more positive acknowledgement than may be required in the face-to-face, because online learning, it's draining. Online learning, it's not a walk in the park. And I think trainers need to really be aware of that. And the only other thing I will say is call regular breaks. What I mean by that is call breaks long or more often than you normally would in the face-to-face environment. And I generally say every 40 minutes. People may go, oh, too often. I'm like, no, people need the 5, the 10, the 15-minute breaks. If you don't give them, people are going to really frizzle out on you.
Yeah, because it takes more it does take more willpower to stay engaged with the content, because you're not getting that like there's not the peers around you with everybody doing the same thing. So to some extent I think that herd mentality takes over in those sorts of situations, but also there are still so many people that are actually not built for this particular mode of education. Some people like a fish to water and it works brilliantly, but other people who are, normally in a busy office environment, who are working with people day to day, who are engaging in this for the first time, who are having, where the internet's like just dropping out for that 1 second, like every minute, the mental capacity that it is taking to remain engaged in that content. Whereas if, every 45 minutes, as you said, they can just go off, they can make themselves a coffee, they can go to the bathroom, they just have that 10 minutes to decompress or take care of whatever needs to be taken care of, kids or family or cats or whatever. It gives them that space to then go out, do that, and then come back. And if they know that's happening regularly, they can put anything else aside until
100%.
that next point comes along. So that's really good.
Yeah.
So I guess, obviously there is so much happening in the technology space in our sector at the moment. There's a lot of talk about ChatGPT. As I said, Google Bard wrote this for us. There's a huge amount of new, tools, apps, APIs, things like that are happening in our sector. What are you excited about in relationship to how technology can help trainers and assessors over the next kind of 5 years?
You're gonna hate my answer, Lauren. You're gonna I am a very much a traditionalist. I am a conservative. I still believe we've got to get everybody to the benchmark or the point zero where we can teach properly. Yeah. Once we can teach properly, then we can add on the technologies. And I guess my fear is that people rush to technologies before they can even run a session properly. So I think for me, once I can see that everybody can run a breakout room successfully, great. Once everyone can run a successful online Zoom session, and have 20, 30, 50 people in a room and get people excited, cool, then let's go to technology. But I guess what I'm always hesitant about is when apps substitutes for skills that should be there in the first place. Now, I think ChatGPT is going to be fantastic for instructional design. I think it's going to be fantastic for being able to create content quite quickly and easily. And I certainly see that in my space already. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm most passionate about the public speaking. I'm most passionate about the delivery. So it's great to have those things, but I'm more passionate about, well, how can you, once you've got that information, structure it so that it engages an audience? Yeah. And what else out there? I mean, I'm aware that Zoom is consistently adding new apps and things like that. And Zoom has been fantastic with, different reactions that you can have and things like that, which are really cool. But at the end of the day, for me, if you don't understand class management, you may jump to an app and it may all go to pear-shaped, because I'm choosing my words carefully there, because you're not able to create a safe learning environment. A great example of that is, and I know I'm going to be shot down for this one, Kahoot. All right. You probably heard of the quiz software Kahoot, where people can go on there and create quizzes. Yeah. Now that's wonderful. Now this is where I get shot on the hill. It's wonderful, but if you don't actually manage people's internal representations as they go through the experience, some people can actually find that quite deflating. Some people can actually lose confidence because they don't win the competition, or they don't keep up, or they don't get the answers. So for me, it's a great tool, but if the person doesn't have the right mindset when they're using the tool, then it can lose its positive benefit, if that makes sense, Lauren.
But a lot of that goes back to, like you said at the very beginning, is knowing your learner cohort. And so knowing what's going to be right for your particular learner cohort, because obviously, if you're dealing with a bunch of, like, let's just go with guys that are, marketing guys, very outgoing, a little bit competitive, like that's going to get their juices running. That bit of competition works really fantastically for that group of, disengaged young 16-year-old girls who are studying a course for the first time, who have, been kicked out of school because it didn't work for them. It's not the tool for that particular group, because this is all about, just constantly reinforcing positivity and things like that. So
yeah, and I think
it does go back to that initial point of yours.
And I think, what's the saying? A man with a hammer sees everything as a nail. And I think the people that have been in the industry a while, that have a little bit more, I guess, forethought, they look at a tool and go, is it the right tool for this audience? Yes or no? And I guess they put that evaluation criteria over it. And yes, there's a lot of tools coming out, but even with ChatGPT, there's the assessing side of things. There's the, okay, we now need to mark a student's answer. Has it just been created with ChatGPT? Has it been not? Then with the instructional design, how much of it is actually the instructional designer's ideas and work and things like that? So yeah, I guess technology wise, I'm excited that Zoom has come along. I'm excited that Teams has come along to be able to plug the holes where we couldn't deliver face-to-face training. Now we can. So
Yeah.
now I don't need to get in my car and drive for an hour or 2 hours to set up at a workshop. I can just deliver online, which is fantastic. And so that's made it possible. And a lot of companies were able to survive through COVID because of the shift. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm just most excited about people skilling themselves up to be able to use technology even more effectively.
And hopefully that, I mean, I think that is the hope is that, I was speaking with Andrew Shea earlier, and look, a lot of people worry that, this technology is going to replace you. And he said, it's not that. He said, it's not that Chat GPT is going to replace trainers in any way, shape, or form. He said, it's the trainer that understand and can use Chat GPT to be more productive and create more engaging content more quickly that is going to come in and replace you. He said, so that's why it is so important that we do have trainers who are understanding the technologies and also understanding how AI is going to impact their particular sector. I mean, obviously, IT, marketing, a lot of the white collar trades, that's where AI is going to have the biggest impact, whereas when we look at some of the, the traditional trades, that's been through a fairly big revolution. And the main impact there is really going to be in relationship to electronic testing capabilities and the ability to be able to maybe test your equipment better and have your equipment test more aspects of whatever particular trade that you're operating in. So automotives, for example, is seeing a big shift in this particular area.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point, and I think it really draws to, it's not the tech, but it's the attitude towards it. And so, for example, trainers, by their nature, they do have curiosity. They do have a willingness to learn new things. And I think that's really important. And as a trainer, you've got to take the 5 minutes out of your day or the 10 minutes or the 30 minutes out and go, all right, Chat GPT, it's coming along. I shouldn't be scared of it. What is it? How does it work? And how can I integrate it? And I think trainers are great at that. And even with, Zoom and delivering online, I'm only good now because I put in the time and effort to learn it when it first came out. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm faced with this new reality. I've got to spend a couple of hours watching YouTube clips. I've got to actually open up a Zoom account and start to play with things and see how it works. And I think any trainer that's going to be successful going forward has to just continue to do that, have that attitude of constant ongoing learning and improvement and development. Go, all right, cool. What's coming out there? And let me take 5 minutes out of my week to just look at the latest thing and go, all right, that might work, that may not, but at least I know what's coming and have a little bit of understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the last question is, what are you excited about in vet at the moment? What are things that, what do you see happening in the sector, or what are some of the things that you look at where you go, this is going to be really great for us, or, this is really fantastic for trainers and things like that?
I'm excited about your continual videos that are coming out, Lauren. I'm loving what you're putting out. I guess I'm excited about my book that's going to come out in the next 6 months, which is the Advanced Workshop Facilitation Techniques, which is awesome. And those are some fantastic things. And my videos are going to continue to come out every Monday, and they head up to YouTube and also via LinkedIn as well, where every Monday I put out a tip on how to improve, develop your delivery skills and techniques, which is really cool. And I guess if I speak very honestly from the heart, I think over the last 3 years, a lot of vet practitioners have been scarred a little bit. We've all been through a little bit of a journey. And I would say that now is kind of a bit of a reset point. And I actually see a lot of people in vet really coming together. I actually see a lot more collaboration happening. And I don't know if you're feeling it as well, but there's a lot of people that are coming together with a new sense of resilience, a new sense of collaboration, a new sense of let's just make it better. Let's just get on with it. And I just noticed this on LinkedIn and other forums that people are just tired of stuff, and we just want to get on with the job and really be there to support our learners and our students and our cohorts going forward. And I think, we went through the bad times, but now we're just coming together, and I see a lot less ruthless competition, so to speak, and a lot more collaboration. How are you guys doing it? How are you guys doing it? Let's share great ideas and let's work together. And that's something I haven't really seen in the vet sector over the time that I've been in it as much as now. And I don't know, it's just something I've picked up, that everyone just seems to be coming together and supporting each other a lot more than ever before.
Yeah, I actually know, I do agree with that. And I mean, look, I think I reached out to a dozen people for this series, and everyone was literally like, that sounds fantastic, really happy to help. There was a couple of people who were like, look, super busy for the next couple of weeks, but like, let's push it back. Let's totally do it. And this was across, resource developers and other compliance consultants and, other assessment developers. And it was kind of like, there are so many students that need supporting in our industry. Like, let's just focus on doing it all well and doing it together. And we're probably going to get the most positive impact. So that is awesome. There is definitely much less combative, there's a lot less combat happening, both in the virtual online space, and I think just like generally in relationship, which is awesome to see. Because there's definitely enough students to go. There's enough students that need help.
Yes, and I think we all suffered through the hard times, and I think we've got a lot more compassion and empathy for each other as people try and run businesses, survive and thrive in a business. And we're just like, we're over it. We just want to do the right thing by everyone and do a good job by ASCWA if we can. And, if we can't, we'll share ideas and hopefully get there in the end.
So tell me, where is your book going to be coming out? When's it going to be coming out? Where can we access all of that information? What is your YouTube handle so that people can find you on YouTube as well?
Awesome. I think the easiest thing is I'll drop a link into the description of this video, and people can click on that, subscribe, and a landing page will go up for the book, probably I'd say in about 2 months' time, and just at the editing phase at the moment. But the purpose of the book is just to really, I know I'm doing the worst thing, but I'm actually putting all the how-to, all the IP out there, and basically sharing all the good stuff, because I just want to leave a legacy. I just want to speak to the Marc Miles of 10, 15 years ago, when Marc didn't know anything at all and he was just starting out in the vet sector. And so I just want to share stuff that's really worked for me, and if that's helpful for other people as well, great. But I just want to be able to make the learning journey a little bit easier for anyone that's just starting out and getting their TA. Maybe they've graduated their TA and they're sort of looking for different ideas. Maybe they've been in the industry for a long time, and they just want to be able to improve their current workshop results that they're getting. So it really could appeal to any level of experience. But I will certainly be dropping the link for that book certainly on LinkedIn, but I will send it through to you as well when it comes out.
Awesome. So people can find you on YouTube. They can find you on LinkedIn. As I've said to everyone, I was lucky enough to have Marc Miles with me today, TAE Trainer Extraordinaire. My name is Lauren Hollows from Anawaya Education Services. Guys, we've got videos dropping every Wednesday and Sunday. And if you need more content than that, Marc's videos drop every Monday. You can like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, do all of those good things to make sure that more content keeps on coming your way. My name is Lauren Hollows for Anawaya Education Services.